Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Supply Talk with Hawk Vending. My name is Gibson Hawk. I'm the owner operator of Hawk Vending LLC. We're a small family-owned business in DFW, specifically based out of Aubrey. On the way to Sam's Club right now to pick up my weekly order. Got 2 more cases of rain and a case of some Celsius vibes. I think they're not the normal vibe, like a little bit cooler looking. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but they look interesting, and the Celsius vibes have been doing pretty well in my machine compared to just the normal Celsius. Got my boy in the back. You probably can't see him, but he loves to ride in the Tacoma with daddy, especially on these long trips because it's pretty bumpy with my mud tires, and he thinks it's like a little roller coaster. Yeah, this episode I figured I would just talk a little bit about expansion and cold calling and the kind of like unsexy parts of building a business, especially a sales related business. I'm not sure if I covered this in my last video, so if I did, bear with me, but I've been in account management and sales since I graduated college in 2016. I've sold scientific research consumables. I've sold high-end lab equipment. I've sold canned water. I've sold essential oils. Now I do staff augmentation services and manage projects, co-manage projects. So I've sold a ton of stuff. I always joke if it doesn't work out with this, I'm just going to go sell cars. I love cars, but yeah, I've sold a lot of different things, and that's part of the reason I got into vending in the first place. Is it's sales, but it's a pretty easy version of sales. Honestly, you're providing a service, which I think selling a service is far superior to selling a product, because you're more selling yourself than anything else. And as long as you do a good job, your customer should repeat, as opposed to a product where you're really dependent upon the promises that you make and the quality of that product, which sometimes, from a marketing department, they tell you a bunch of stuff, you buy into it, you sell it, turns out to not be as great as you thought it was, or as the client thought it was, and then they go somewhere else and it's a whole other thing. So I like selling services a lot more. And you might be saying, but Gibson, vending machines sell products. Yeah, right, but I'm not actually selling the product. I'm selling the service of the machine. That's my job. So I call into businesses and I convince them to let me place a machine with no contract and no commission. I don't do any commissions. It's not as difficult to sell that as you would think. So as an example, like let's say you want to target an apartment complex. Great business, right? Tons of residents. They have active facilities on there where residents can use, whether it be the clubhouse, the pool, the fitness center, whatever it might be. So high traffic. You find an area in there where that high traffic walks past, and they come to you and say, Joe Blow, I want one of your machines. I want you to sign a contract and do a commission. 20%, right? 10%, whatever it might be. So let's say you do $1,000 in revenue every month. That's a great location. You got to fork over $100, right? And that's before you factor in profits. So just right off the top, you're skimming off 100. For an apartment complex that's got anywhere from 500 to 2,000 residents, $100 a month, what difference does that make to them? Okay, $1,200 a year. BFD, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what they're collecting on rent, whether that rent's 500 to 2,000 to 3,000, depending on the location, right? It's a drop in the bucket, but for you, it's not. And that's how I sell it. I had a conversation recently, and that was my point, is I don't do commissions because at the end of the day, $100 to $200 back to you every single month is honestly a drop in the bucket. It's a rounding error for the amount of money that you're making based off your tenants. But for me, it's a large impact to my ability to perform and provide a service. So that's why I don't do it. It worked. It's a pretty simple sell. They're really not making anything off of that $100 to $200 a month. Now, if you're talking about a smaller business, right, where it could affect their bottom line, I could see where that pitch might not work so well. But if you're going after a very large business, 100 plus employees, 100 plus customers, 100 plus tenants, and an apartment complex is going to be significantly larger than that, paying a commission, it just doesn't make any sense. And that's the pitch that I would recommend you use, is at the end of the day, $100 to $200 a month for you is a drop in the bucket. It's a rounding error. But for me, that's a big difference. And that affects my ability to provide a service. It affects my ability to expand. I'm not a big business right now. I have one machine. I'm looking to place a few more. I've been prospecting. But that's a lot for me. and it's just not something that I can do. It's the human approach. There's an old trope in sales, always be closing, the ABCs. That's nonsense. That doesn't exist anymore. I don't believe in that. It's very transactional. My goal as an account executive has always been to form partnerships, right? I want to be your friend. I want to know all about you, but I genuinely care. That's the difference. If you don't give a darn about somebody's life, it's going to come through when you're asking questions. It's very robotic, but I actually care. I want to know where you like to vacation, what sports your kids are playing, what video games you like. Shoot, I might add you on Xbox Live and we'll play together. I've closed deals that way. I mean, I care about getting to know the customer and building that relationship. And I think that's been a big key to my success over the last few sales jobs that I've had, is that's what I do. And in vending, it's no different, right? If anything, it's more personal because this is my own business that I run myself. I'm the only person doing it, right? So if they don't like me, then why would they want my machine? And how am I different from anybody else? So I care very deeply about getting to know my customers. I want to be friends with them. Shoot, we might even partner up and they could come and help me. We go 50-50 on a machine later. You never know. So networking is pretty important. But to pivot a little bit, we'll talk about prospecting some. I work a full-time job. I'm an account executive. I love my full-time job. It's a great company that I work for. Shoot, they brought me out to Texas, helped me realize my dream. You know, I work with a lot of great people. And so I put in as much effort as humanly possible. I've never worked harder at something in my life. That doesn't leave me with a lot of time to do something on the side, obviously. So prospecting is difficult. When you're dealing with apartment complexes, facility managers typically don't work on the weekends. It's hard to catch them after 5. I'm obviously not cold calling for my side business during normal working hours because I have responsibilities to my other company, and I take that very seriously, right? They're paying me to do a job. They pay me well. I take that job incredibly seriously. I'm not going to use company time to do things for my side business. That's unethical. It's not right. And so I don't do it. So the big challenge has been finding time to prospect, but there's always time. Don't underestimate the power of the email. There's a lot of people that make significantly more money of me copywriting, and a big part of that is email development. They're coming up with catchy emails that catch people's attention, that help you to close business. A copywriter, I am not. I do my best. I've tried ChatGPT to help a little bit. I have a pretty good vocabulary, but it's difficult, and I suffer from writer's block pretty quick when I try to sit down and do an email. A trick that I've used that I'd recommend to everybody on here, it is free. I'm assuming you have iPhones. Android people, I'm guessing that you probably had this feature 3 years before iPhone. I don't know. But there's a white noise feature. I have AirPods. I plug them in, and if you scroll the top right corner of your phone, you pull it down, you'll see a little ear. You can put on white noise and just blast it. I have a very active mind, right? Maybe ADHD. Who's to say? But when I put that on, it helps me block out everything and really focus on what I'm doing. So I'll sit down for about 30 minutes and I'll draft up an email. I'll plug it into ChatGPT if I need some help. I'll keep the white noise in the background and I'll just keep going back and forth, editing and changing and fixing and making it look nice before I finally come up with a solution. Now, the emails that I've been using for Hawk Vending, I'll give credit where credit is due. I did a training course with Jaime Ibanez. He's another DFW young man, very bright, runs a very successful vending business. And this is the email template that he shared with us for free. I used it and I booked a meeting off of it within 20 minutes of sending the email. Don't expect that to happen. That was very lucky. I've been doing this for long enough to know oftentimes it takes me following up on email 5, 10, 15 times before I get a screw off. You know, so it takes a while. But the beauty of the email is if you work a 9 to 5 like me and you can't cold call during normal business hours, you can send those emails before work or after work, right? It's easy. You get your contact list together. It's best to blast out 25 to 50 at a time. Cold calling, I recommend 100 calls a day. That's what I do in my day job, at least 100 calls a day. Emails take a little bit longer. So if you have time, 100 emails, it's a game of attrition and it's a numbers game. You're casting a wide net. So the more emails and calls you can get out every single day, the faster that you're going to be successful. For instance, in my 9 to 5, my day job, I cold called 100 times a day, 5 days a week for 9 months before I closed my first deal. I take that back. I got one a little bit sooner, but I went on a dry run after that. And then I closed a deal with a company I'd been calling into for 9 months. It took that long, but it was persistence and it was recognized. And now I don't have to call nearly as much. I still do, but I'm getting repeat meetings. I have built relationships off of the constant follow-up calls, emails, LinkedIn, whatever it might be. Sales is hard. Anybody that tells you otherwise is lying. Sales is very difficult, but it is the fastest way to make a lot of money at a young age. And that's not just my opinion, it's the fact. If you're good at sales and you're willing to work hard and you can take the rejection, it's an incredibly fast way to make very good money, especially because of commission. Vending is no different, but it's a lot easier. Honestly, you're providing a free service to a business that benefits their residents or their customers or their employees or all three. It costs them nothing, and you restock once a week. I think it's a lot of fun, honestly. I love driving my truck. I have 3 young boys. I have twin boys that are 4 months old, and I have my son in the back. He's 19 months, and they're going to grow up watching their father run a side business. So one day when they're old enough, if they decide, you know what, I want to do this too, I could pass this off to them. I could help them build something else if we expand into other ventures. They've got that experience. But it all starts with the cold call and the emails. So that's my personal recommendation, is spend some time blocking out all of the noise, full focus, drafting up emails, get your contact list together, send out those emails. Give it 48 hours, follow up. Give it 48 hours, follow up. Find them on LinkedIn, add them on LinkedIn, send them a LinkedIn message. Hey, Joe Blow, this is Gibson Hawk with Hawk Vending. Following up on the emails, I offer a free service in your area, blah, 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 whatever you want to say. Send it on LinkedIn. Now you've got them from 2 fronts. When you call them, here's something else I do different. I leave voicemails. A lot of salespeople don't leave voicemails. In fact, when I told my company I was leaving voicemails, I got some side eyes, right? But hey, Joe Blow, this is Gibson Hawk with Hawk Vending. Dropped you an email yesterday. Wanted to follow up over a quick phone call. I offer a free service. We're local, whatever you want to say. Hey, Joe Blow. Hit you up on LinkedIn the other day. This is my cell. Would love to connect over a quick meeting and see if my service fits your business. Give me a call back at, list your number, really short and sweet. And keep doing it. Do not stop with somebody until they tell you to stop. And if they finally pick up the phone and say, you keep calling me, take me off your call list. Hey, totally understand. You don't know me from Adam. But I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't at least reaching out, trying to offer you a service, trying to be a value add to you and your company, trying to bring in an amenity for your residents. With that being said, would still love to meet with you. I only need 15 minutes to see if this fits. If not, I totally understand. And if they still say no, then they say no. Write them off. It's no big deal. Make a note. Call them back in 6 months. They'll forget about you. Call them back and act like you didn't have the conversation before, right? I've been doing this for years. It works. You just have to develop a thick skin, and you have to understand that it takes a lot of no's before you get a yes. But that one yes can completely change your mind or change your life. And that's not hyperbole. I'm not being hyperbolic. One deal can completely change your life. Success breeds success. Once you get that first taste of it, it's like a drug and you're not going to stop. So that's all I got for today. If you'd like some help with emails, LinkedIn messaging, cold calling, please, by all means, hit me up. You can DM me on Instagram at Hawk Vending. You can reach out to me here on YouTube. I'm going to have a Twitter up soon as well. You can find me on LinkedIn. Test it out on me, if you want to cold outreach to me, but I'm happy to help any other sales folks, regardless of years of experience, age, whatever it might be. If you need some help getting your feet off the ground and getting going with this, and you've never done something like this before, by all means, reach out to me and I'm happy to help. But anyway, that's all I got for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. And best of luck to y'all.